Okay, hit record.
3, 2, 1. Clap. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Chad.
I was
Welcome
pretending to be everyone.
Oh, you're pretending to be everyone? You are everyone. You're everyone to me, Chad.
Everyone
Welcome
has that
to
high-pitched voice. Hi.
It's an average audio sample of everyone saying hi, and it tends to be on the high side.
Will you just read the intro? God damn it.
No, I don't read the intro. I say the intro because I know it. Welcome to the Split Screen Gaming Podcast, that occasionally weekly podcast where three lifelong friends correspond about video games from the comfort of each other's homes. I am Holden DePardo, and I'm here with...
Yo soy Chad Michael Innes.
This is going to be a fun episode. This is
Because it's
episode
multilingual.
34. Yes.
No, this is 35, man.
35? Wow, 35
Yeah, this is
episodes.
35.
Well, welcome everyone to episode 35.
You come in here last week all puffing your chest out saying, we need to announce the number of the episode at the beginning of every one. And then you come in here and fuck it up the first
I
time.
fucked it up. I fuck up a lot of things, though.
You don't even do any research.
I'm what was the, it's like Ben Wyatt, Human Disaster, or what was it in Parks and Rec?
I don't know, but I really like Parks and Rec.
Yeah, it's like
Not
Ben
enough
Wyatt.
to remember that, I guess, but...
Yeah, Ben Wyatt, Human Disaster. Holden DePardo, Human Disaster. I can't get anything right anymore.
Human Disaster. That's play on the word Beautiful Disaster by, who is that? I feel like his initials
you're
are
asking the
J
wrong
and
person.
M. John McLaughlin?
Josh Groban.
No, that's not an
Josh
M.
Groban.
Hey
It's an
Siri,
M, yeah.
who sings Beautiful Disaster? Oh shit, Siri across the room picked it up instead. I'm not.
Is there an
I
answer?
can't hear it. Well,
You don't-
she said it, but I have headphones on and I can't hear all the way across the room. So I'll just Google it.
Well, while you're Googling that and finding out that vitally important information, I say we start off by talking about what games we've been playing this week. It's a pretty original thing for us to do.
Oh man!
What?
So it didn't bring up the song, but it did bring up a book, Beautiful Disaster. Guess what the initials of the author are?
JM?
Jamie McGuire is her name, or his name. It could be a
That's
boy's
really
name
funny.
or a girl's name.
It could be. It could be. You're
Now I'm
super
specifically
sexist
gonna
for
look at the
that.
song. Oh, Kelly Clarkson. There must be multiple.
That is an
Beautiful
equal
Disasters.
gender opportunity name.
John McLaughlin is the other one. Yes. Nailed it.
I was right,
That's
Josh
it.
Groban.
That's the Split Screen Gaming Podcast, episode 35. We talked about a book.
We're like 2.5 minutes into this, and we have yet to talk about video games at all. What are we doing with our lives, Chad?
Oh, you know what I'm doing with my life? I beat Mario Odyssey's campaign, which I
Awesome.
guess is like maybe 30% of the game.
Yeah, there's way more to do after the campaign. So yeah, let's talk about that. I think we're still going to do a spoiler
Yeah,
episode.
this will not be spoilery, but oh my god, is this my favorite Mario game of all time?
Right?
It
I was
is-
trying to hold back saying that last time,
Yep.
but yeah, it really is.
It is the perfect balance of that old wedding thing, something new, something old.
Yep. it really is.
It
No,
is the
I never
perfect
put that
balance of
together,
brand
but
new
you're totally
gameplay.
right.
I jumped
Yeah.
into this thing saying, "Oh man, I'm not punching anything. I'm just throwing my hat at things. That's weird." And then I immediately loved it. And taking
Yep.
over all of these things, like, what does it feel like to be a fireball? What does it like to be a hammer bro? Like all of these. Well, yeah, you are a hammer bro at certain parts, right?
Yeah.
Or are
You
you
can be
always a
hammer
frying
bro.
pan bro?
Well, that's kind of it's the same thing in this game. Like
Yeah,
the hammer
and-
bro
anyway.
is the frying pan bro. But yeah.
So
I know
that
what you
part is really, really cool and makes it all seem fresh. The exploration is super cool and fresh, but then you also have all of those retro moments that I'm not going to spoil.
mean. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
They're all
Yeah.
there's so many of them, and
I don't
they're-
think it's a
they
spoiler to
all
say
call back to
that-
different games, and it's so perfect, and it's
Yeah,
just
and-
enough too.
It's also my favorite ending to a Super Mario game. Like it's not just the final battle, but kind of some of the post-ish like stuff from right afterwards is just.
I haven't
so
had
cool.
time, like credits roll.
Oh,
I haven't had
you've
time to
already done
explore
the part.
post credits.
No, so I'm talking about before credits roll.
Okay.
Like you beat
Yeah.
you beat
yeah,
the
yeah,
final
yeah,
boss.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
just say
yeah.
it's Bowser. That's not really a surprise.
No,
Like,
stop it!
That's
Super
not a
Mario
spoiler.
RPG doesn't have Bowser as the final boss.
okay, but every
It's Smithy.
mainline platforming Mario game has Bowser as a final boss, except the Game Boy. Super Mario Land, I think, didn't.
Super Mario
even then, I
Land.
think
Oh, Wario was the boss of Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden
Yeah.
coins. I forgot
But
about
every other
that.
one-
And it was like the genie. Oh, shit. I'm going to go back and
Yeah.
play that. I have it on my 3DS.
But those are the only two
What am I
games that
kidding?
are like that. Every mainline Mario game has featured Bowser as a boss, especially the 3D ones. Every 3D one has featured that, so that's not a spoiler. That's like saying Ganon's in Zelda.
I can't wait. I don't want to do a spoiler cast this week because I still want to play a lot of the post games
Yeah, no,
since
no, no.
it's so important to the,
the
game.
post game is the real game as far as I'm concerned.
I'm so freaking excited.
It's great. There's some so it's kind of easy when you're first starting it out, and so it's kind of like frames. You're like, yeah, this is fun. I'm kind of enjoying this, and it just the progression of difficulty as it goes along is really great, and the post game stuff is like, oh crap, some of these levels are really hard. Like I don't know how on earth I'm supposed to do this. You'll get across some of them that are really difficult.
I can't wait. I can't.
Yeah, it's really
wait.
good. So, do you have like a favorite kingdom at all you want to talk about?
I honestly don't want to spoil anything.
You don't.
This is the first Mario game where I'm like, I care about spoilers for Mario, and there were
Yeah.
so many moments in this game when I discovered a type of kingdom exists, or there was where I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing! I'm so glad I didn't know this going in.
Yeah, like there's one boss in the game where I'm like, this isn't a Mario game? Like, what is this specific boss doing in a Mario game? It doesn't, like, it fits. It totally fits because the whole theme of the game is seeing new things you haven't seen before in a Mario game. But it was still super surprising when you came across it. I'm trying to be vague, but it's really, really solid. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you liked it too.
Yeah, I
can't wait to do a spoiler chat where we can really like hash things out and
I know.
Yeah.
Hash
Really
browns.
great. Have you been playing anything else at all, or is it just been Super Mario Odyssey?
No, it has been Super Mario Odyssey, but guess what comes out tomorrow? Horizon Zero Dawn Frozen Wilds. Right. And apparently it's 15 hours long.
Wow, that's a pretty sizable DLC.
That's a whole game. That's a whole Uncharted DLC.
That's a whole Uncharted game.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm picking that up tomorrow. So I had to beat Super Mario Odyssey before that. But Super Mario Odyssey is something, I bring it to work, play it on the bus, play it on lunch breaks, things like that.
We'll talk about that kind of stuff in a little bit when we get into the news.
Yeah.
So I played Mario Odyssey as well, of course. How many moons did you get, by the way?
Oh, I don't remember. I think maybe I'm like 210, maybe? I don't know.
I have a ridiculous amount. I have like 830.
Yeah, how many of those are bought? You pay for 810 of them?
The one per kingdom, and I bought 10.
You Panama Papers rich ass buying all those moons up.
And I just don't want you to have any moons, so I'm buying all the moons so you can't have any.
Screw you.
That's the goal, yeah. So I also started playing SteamWorld Dig 2.
Oh, yeah. How's that?
It's really, really good. I super enjoy it. It is a Metroidvania kind of style game where it's a 2D kind of side-scrolling where you're exploring a world.
Yeah.
But it's all underground and you're mining. And as you're mining, you're actually kind of creating your map.
Okay.
So your map will be different than everybody else's because it's about how you mine through the world. And you kind of unlock new abilities, new skills that let you break certain types of rock under the ground, and it opens up pretty nicely. And the environments are really varied. It's also has some of the best animation I've seen in a 2D game like this. The animations are so like you should seriously just look it up. Like go to a video, look it up, and the animations are so solid. It must be running at 60 frames per second. Everything has such character and like life to it. Like as the characters talk to you, they're kind of like bobbing around, and it just the artwork is super good. It's much better than I thought it would be. I'm kind of like, oh, I want to get like a 2D kind of Metroid style game on the Switch. I could have gotten Axiom Verge, but I was hearing good things about SteamWorld Dig, so I decided to go for SteamWorld Dig, and I'm really enjoying it. It's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
And that was 2. Is there? Did they announce? No, it was Spelunky 2 that just got announced.
Yeah. So it's good stuff. It was fun stuff. But other than that, I haven't been playing anything. Mario Odyssey has been taking up most of my time.
You know what else comes out tomorrow?
Lunch?
The Xbox One X.
Lunch.
Which means I'm going to be playing Super Lucky's Tale on my... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be playing any of that. I don't have the money to spend on that.
You just bought an iPhone 10.
I did. I just bought an iPhone 10. I thought about going back. I was like, what can I play on this thing to take advantage of this full screen? I thought about going back and maybe doing like Sword and Sorcery.
Or Valley?
No, I'm not going to play it. No, I don't like puzzles. Holden.
Threes?
Sword and Sorcery or that Layton? Dragon Cancer again.
I guess that is on iOS. Oh, The Witness is on iOS now. You should download that because you love puzzles.
Heilige Scheiße.
Yeah, so Xbox One X comes out. I want to do like a focus on the Xbox One X, but after people have it in their hands, and there's some more information to kind of go off of.
That'll be next week. I've been reading some impressions, and so far it's very good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's honestly, it seems like it's a better version of the PS4 Pro. That's kind of what the vibe I'm getting. It's similar to the PS4 Pro, but it does it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like how the game patches work and that kind of stuff, which we will also talk about in a little bit when we talk about the news. Which you want to just get into the news right now?
Let's get into that news. Tell me every piece of drip, droppy, savory news that you've got.
Well, I got 7 stories this week, and actually, let's just go to the Xbox One X news that I have.
Okay, tell me everything about Xbox One X.
It's actually about Quantum Break.
Yeah.
4K patch is in total with the base game and the patch. It takes up 174 gigabytes or 78 gigabytes on your Xbox One X.
1/5 of your Xbox One X is taken by one game,
and that's not too unusual. So that's the highest one, but like Forza was a little bit over 100 gigs, I believe.
Yeah,
that's just that really bothers me because like you can always plug in an external hard drive, but I feel like if you want to get an Xbox One X and you want to download games to it, you now have to spend more money to get a hard drive to plug into it if you don't already have a hard drive. But I'd say most people.
You can just delete games when you're done with them.
And then wait for 100 gigabyte download.
And then wait, for 200 gigabytes worth of Quantum Break to download. And then when you want to play something else, you have to delete. Make sure you save your save game.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing though. So it's a patch though. So it's like, let's say that you have the Quantum Break disc, right?
Yeah.
And you're putting that on there. You still have to download that patch to play it in 4K. So if you want the benefit of having the 4K game, you still have to download at least 94 gigabytes of content to your Xbox One X.
Yeah, that's crazy. That for every 94 game? Gigabytes. But that game is also. I feel like that one's probably the highest number because it is
the TV show.
TV show focused.
Yeah, there's the TV show. Yeah, so actually, I have the breakdown here. So in the game itself, without the patch and all that, the base game is 8 gigabytes, but the TV show is 75 gigs of that game, and that's separate from the 94 gigabyte patch. So it's already a massive game. So when you make it have 4K footage. But here's the thing, like if I download like a TV show from iTunes, it's like maybe 2 gigs per episode if it's in HD.
Yeah.
Or like a gig to 2 gigs depending on the length of the episode. How these episodes in Quantum Break are only like 20 something minutes long. How many of them are there that it's 75 gigabytes? It just seems ridiculous to me.
Well, I'm sure they're a little higher quality than the videos you get. I mean, you're getting basically streaming quality videos from iTunes. Whereas when you're actually playing, like the stuff on the disc and the stuff on the Xbox is going to be, they're not going to go and compress the shit out of it just so that they can fit it on the box.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're getting a much higher quality version of these things.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, I think that's a upsetting trend is that those patches are so massive, but it's also only going to be for your really big games. Like if you're playing, I don't think Fez is on PlayStation, is on Xbox One. Xbox, is it? Fez?
I don't know.
But like Fez is
an example. It's on everything else.
A game like Fez, that's not going to be 100 gigabyte like download with a 4K patch. So, like it's only going to be your big AAA games are going to have this. But if you're getting an Xbox One X, it's for your big AAA games. I'm not going to I'm sure Cuphead looks great on an Xbox One X, but it already looked super good on an Xbox One. I don't know how much they could really improve that beyond just making it like 4K. Like, it wouldn't be huge. But I'm getting it for the AAA games. I'm not getting it for Cuphead. So
speaking of large patches and large games taking up too much space, do you have the article of L.A. Noire on Switch?
Oh, I saw that and I forgot to write that one down. Yes.
It's so L.A. Noire is another of those games that will require an SD card.
Yes.
Because it doesn't all fit on a cartridge. So the physical version of the game, if you buy it physically on cartridge, you also have to download a 14 gigabyte patch that includes the rest of the game.
So something... Sorry, you can go ahead.
Because it doesn't fit on the cartridge. Now, of course, as a developer, they could choose to buy the more expensive, larger capacity card and fit it all on the card.
Yeah.
But that's just costs that they don't want to assume on themselves, which is, I mean, rightful. Like, the cartridge-based media is expensive, and digital SD cards are super cheap nowadays, so you should go that route. But I just thought that it's interesting that NBA, I think, was the first one, and now we have L.A. Noire. In total is 29 gigabytes, which is more than the memory on the Switch can hold. So that's another one of those that requires an SD card no matter what you got.
Yeah, and I think in the case of LA Noire, the reason why is so much of that game is centered around the facial animations of the characters, and there's all these like mocap recordings they have of the actors, and for every single mission, every single cutscene, like it's not like a like an in-game clip or something like that. Like it's part of the game itself. So I'm sure that takes up a huge amount of file size. But Skyrim is not going to be one of those games that's you have to put on the SD card. Matter of fact, it's only 15 gigabytes in total.
That's because it's. I mean, it's not a game that looks that great. And it is what was it now? 10 years old.
It's still huge.
LA Noire is also super old now too.
It's still huge, and think about all the voice acting in Skyrim. There's no like. I think the big deal with Skyrim is that every character is voice acted, even like just random people you meet in your town.
Yeah.
So that's still pretty impressive considering how many hundreds of hours of gaming content there is, how many hundreds of hours of pre-recorded audio are in that game. Impressive. So that's really impressive.
The assets, though, I'm sure they have like two different types of trees that they just spawn billions of times. And
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. It is from 2011? Yeah.
It's an old game, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's hop back over to that Microsoft Xbox One X.
Yeah.
There's another story that actually came out today saying, this is from IGN, says, Microsoft investing in studios to make more first-party games.
Good, they need to.
Yes. So Microsoft will invest more in software and services in the near future with a view in making more first-party games, according to Xbox chief Phil Spencer. But I mean, so yes, obviously that's something that everyone knows that they should have been doing for a while, and we were all kind of disappointed by the reveal event by E3 that they didn't have more to announce. But what I think is super interesting is at the end of the article, there's a paragraph here that says, in the longer term, Spencer also says that Microsoft will probably introduce a game streaming service that doesn't require a console in the next 3 years. It will be powered by the Azure cloud servers that Microsoft uses for many of its services, making the process both cheaper and a better quality level than was possible with previous attempts.
Interesting.
Yeah, so kind of like, I guess, that PlayStation Now type thing where you could stream it to your TV or your computer or your Vita or your PlayStation 3, but that was for like old games. Microsoft in the next 3 years is doing R&D on trying to figure out how to do that with, I guess, first party, like mainstream.
I wonder what they mean by without buying a console, though. Does that mean like if you have a Windows PC, then you can do this, or is it do it from your phone, do it from your computer? We'll have it built into televisions. Like, what does it actually look like? Because that can mean a lot of different things.
It could, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean all first party or Xbox level games. It could be like a 2D indie level, like really small bite-sized game streaming service.
Absolutely. Minecraft probably won't come to it, though. No way. It will. It'll be the first game they announce for it.
You're an announcement.
I am an announcement. I have an announcement for you, Chad. A
Tell me
special
about
announcement from Nintendo coming tomorrow.
Ooh!
They're going to have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct tomorrow.
At 10 a.m. our time, my time.
Yep.
I forget you don't live in the same time zone now.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame. But, so that'll be exciting. It's a game I'm looking forward to. Curious what they have to say. It comes out in a little bit less than a month now, so...
Yeah, right. It's
they need to talk about that game.
December 2nd or something like that?
December 1st.
December 1st?
For December 1st,
That's the day I have my dentist appointment, at noon.
How did they know that? They must have timed it perfectly for you.
Oh my god, yeah, they know.
Because you're definitely not buying Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
I don't know.
Would you buy it? You
I
actually
know.
like JRPGs.
I do.
So,
I also, I don't know. I'm not investing too much other than what's Mario on my Switch.
But it's not like
Mario
you can
Kart,
get this game.
Mario Rabbids, Mario Odyssey, and Zelda on my Switch. That's what I've got.
It's your favorite game of all time.
Mario Odyssey? It's great.
Mario Odyssey? No. Zelda Breath of the Wild. Favorite game
oh yeah, Mario Kart? Mario Kart's great.
They actually have some good Nintendo news here. Some surprising news, actually.
Tell me about it.
So this is the one that surprised me. They had their financial results last week, I believe, and they said that 3DS sales are stable after the Switch, and they showed a graph that basically just shows like every week sales of the 3DS, and which includes 2DS as well, of course. But it's not only consistent; it's actually a little bit higher than it was in certain weeks.
Now here's the thing. before they showed this graph, they didn't pinky promise that it was real. They could have just drawn a line going upwards. And they could have had their fingers crossed behind their back. They could have been lying.
I think lying to your investors is not legal, so...
No, that is interesting. I don't like that because I want it to die and I want everything just to be on Switch.
Well, I think it shows a few things. So I think everyone was kind of laughing at Nintendo when everyone's like, there's still a future for 3DS. And everyone was like, ha ha ha, very funny, Nintendo. Like, everyone knows that no one's going to buy a 3DS anymore. They're just going to use the Switch as their handheld. But that's not the case of what's happening. So it does mean that when Nintendo says that we don't see the Switch as taking over the handheld market as well, there might be some legitimacy to that. So maybe what we'll see in the future is a Switch Mini that, like, in a few years... you can't take the Joy-Cons off. It is just like a PS Vita, basically, like a little handheld.
I'm going to stop that
just
in
a portable
its tracks.
Experience.
I'm going to stop that in its tracks because
you don't want that.
No, one thing Alex Seiler was asking me about. He's like, "Do you think they're going to come out with this? Like, I don't want to get a Switch now, and then like a year from now, you get like the Switch XL." And it was like, nope. Right now, I don't think we're going to see any hardware revisions of Switch like that for a very long time because they think it's a home console. And it happens to be something you can take on the go. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to make a big screen version or a mini, more portable version because this is their home console.
But what I'm saying is that
happen to take it on the go.
So no, the point is that it'll be like a cheaper version of the Switch, but it is a handheld only. So it like they keep that one as their console. Like, here's your console version of the Switch. Here's the kind of portable. I only want a portable. I want to get kind of Switch games more cheaply. I think that's what that's going to be. Because they've said they're still going to do handheld. I just think it'd be really strange if they said, we're releasing a brand new handheld outside the 3DS line that's also not in the Switch line, and it's something else completely. Like, what would be the purpose of that?
Yeah. I don't think I see them releasing a handheld again for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think once 3DS finally like starts to peter off and they discontinue it, I just don't think they replace that.
You think it's just going to be just Switch only?
I think it'll be just Switch only.
We'll see. It's an interesting time for Nintendo. They're in a transition for sure, but that was interesting. That they did talk about as well, this is another news story related to the same financial conference. Yeah. They broke down who's using the Switch for what purpose. Mm-hmm. Like how they're using it. And that was pretty interesting too. So there's been a lot of speculation as to what that looked like. What Nintendo says is that 50% of people, half of Switch users, go back and forth between docked and undocked. 30% use it in handheld and tabletop mode, which really means 30% use it in handheld mode. Right. No one's using this in tabletop as their primary method of playing the Switch. And then I
was for a lot of Odyssey.
Were you really?
I was, yep. I would take my Joy-Cons out, slide on the little goddamn things, put it in tabletop mode.
Interesting. Yeah, I never use it in tabletop mode. It's not that it doesn't have a purpose. I think it's just funny that, like, you wouldn't describe that as your primary method of playing it, though. No one's like, oh, I only play it in tabletop mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a little ridiculous. And then if something like 19% or something like that play it only on the TV.
Yeah.
So
I rarely play mine on the TV.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm mostly on handheld, but I really like playing Odyssey on the TV because it's absolutely gorgeous when you put it on the TV. So, but I thought it was a pretty good breakdown. I'm not surprised that handheld is bigger than TV in docked mode. That didn't surprise me at all. But I am surprised that the number of people who go back and forth a lot is 50%. I actually expected it to be more than that, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because that's how I mean, I would consider myself in that category if I go back and forth. But
I'm primarily just handheld, man. Just handheld.
Yeah, it's because you're lame.
It's because I live life on the go in the fast lane.
Cool. I have
Can
a few
we talk some more about that?
But
about that call?
No.
Yeah, about me living life in the fast lane. Can we talk more about me living life in the fast lane? I wanted to pull out two more interesting things. One is that Nintendo has raised its estimate and plans to outsell the Switch will outsell the Wii U in just its first year. Mm-hmm. So by March, they're planning for it to sell 14 million units, which is crazy. I think it's now up to like 7 million.
Yeah.
And then they have the holidays.
7.6 or something like that.
That's so crazy.
It's selling so well. I think it's outselling. I don't have anything to back this up, so it's just like an out of the blue statement. But like, I'm pretty sure someone said it's outselling every console like release in terms of speed. and how fast.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think the only challenge to that would be the PlayStation 2 or PS4.
Yeah. I would look into that before you say it again. Let's rewind and pretend you didn't say that. Don't lie to us. Were you crossing your fingers behind your back? Did you pinky promise?
I wasn't sure about it. I said I wasn't sure about it.
We did not open this show with the pinky promise, did we? The second thing that I thought was super cool was Super Mario Odyssey sells 2 million copies in its first 3 days. And it is the fastest selling Mario in U.S. history.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people were wanting an open exploration Mario based game. Like they're kind of waiting for this. Like I'm very into the Nintendo communities online and that kind of stuff. And the number one thing I hear all the time is, like 3D World and 3D Land were pretty cool, but like they weren't Galaxy, they weren't Sunshine, they weren't 64. Like people don't have the same like, ooh, oh boy, a 2D inspired 3D Mario game.
Yep.
It doesn't have the same weight to it. So I think this was something people were really waiting for. So I am not surprised by that. There's also a cool, kind of going out to the story here, there's a cool, almost a kind of like reaction to the Switch's success. And that is, who was it? This is on the Wall Street Journal. Their source was Hamamura, who is an executive for like the magazine Famitsu. Mm-hmm. He's apparently, obviously for an executive for a magazine like that in Japan, you're very aware of the happenings of Japanese game developers.
Mark Wahlberg, M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. Those very, very famous Japanese developers. And he's also known for having loose lips. And basically he just talks too much, says things he shouldn't be saying. And he says that right now, most of the third-party developers in Japan are scrambling to get their games on the Switch because they were really anticipating this was going to be like the Wii U and it wasn't going to sell that well. So they weren't anticipating this to be such a success. And now they're like, well, fuck, we really got to get this going now. We got to start making Switch games. And he says because of that, we probably won't see a lot of really big third-party games until 2019 because of how long a lot of these developers have waited to jump on the train.
Yeah.
And that's upsetting because I think that's going to kind of hurt the Switch. If you have 2 years of, it's really cool like the Switch and all that, but it's not getting the third-party games that I want to play. Well, it's still selling super well, but...
I think right now that is then prime time for the indies. As you mentioned, SteamWorld Dig 2, all these things. Like, because the attach rate is amazing. People are looking for things to play on this system.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, I think we've talked about it before. Indie developers are finding that even games that have been out for years on other systems... They now have officially sold more on Switch than any of those combined, and that's true for like 4 or 5 different games I've heard of now.
Yeah, but I think consoles generally in their first year have higher attach rates, and they tend to go down over time.
Oh, of course, Now there's a lot more options.
Yeah. So the other thing I thought I was going to say from that story is apparently Capcom stated that it's really hard for third-party developers to release games in the first year for a launch of a console. I'm like, that's horseshit. That's complete crap. Like, they made Dead Rising 3 for the Xbox One on, like, I think it was launch day that game came out. Like, it's just them kind of making an excuse to not have the games on the Switch. That's all of that is, yeah.
Yep. Super Lucky's Tale coming out day one for Xbox One X.
Apparently it's terrible from what I've heard.
I know, I've read some reviews.
Like, apparently you can't even shift the camera 360 degrees. You can only move it, like, to... like a front angle or a back angle or like a dead-on angle. Yeah. You can't actually move it all the way around, which on a 3D platformer is kind of how those games work.
Well, it's a VR game that they had to retrofit into a regular platformer.
The original, so there's Lucky's Tale. That one's the VR game. Super Lucky's Tale is, I'm pretty sure, a sequel. I don't know, is it VR? The first one was.
I don't know. Your mom?
Good point.
Nailed it.
And then I got 2 more stories.
Oh, I've got a lot more stories.
You got a lot more stories? Okay.
Yeah. One, I just wanted to point out, PlayStation announced that PlayStation 4 worldwide shipments reached 67.5 million. Now, that's shipments, not necessarily sold, but I think the last sold number was like 65.
Yeah, I mean, they're selling. They're going to sell those units.
And we're going into holiday. Yeah. That's going to be... I wouldn't be surprised if we come out of holiday with 70 million sold.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They said that by March they want to have 79 million sold. They predict they're going to have 79 million.
That's crazy.
Units shipped. Yeah. Good news for Sony. They didn't break down, though, PS4 versus PS4 Pro, though, did they?
No, and I have a feeling they won't.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we won't see that delineation at all.
I would like to. I'm just out of curiosity.
Unless PS4 Pro like takes off and starts selling
Yeah.
gangbusters, and then they'll be like, "Oh, look at how proud we are." But no, as long as it's similar to like what Apple does in their earnings call with like iPods and Apple TVs, like
Yeah, it's all just bundled together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another thing that I didn't for some reason realize, I watched some gameplay videos on IGN for Doom VR.
Yeah.
On PlayStation VR, and apparently that is a new game made for PlayStation, for VR.
It
versus
is not
Skyrim,
Doom, yeah.
which is Skyrim in VR. This is a new Doom game.
It's like Doom VFX, I think.
VFR.
VFR, okay.
Virtual fucking reality, just like big fucking gun.
Is that really what it is?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so
well,
funny.
they were really kind of cheeky about it. Like, what does the F stand for? And like, I don't know, fun? Is it virtual fun reality? I don't know.
That's very Bethesda.
Yeah. So that's cool, and that's coming out next week. Skyrim. There's so much shit is dropping in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, this is the time of year that games really start to come out in high frequency.
Yep. Speaking of, kind of sticking on that PlayStation beat, PlayStation Plus lineup. Why do I have this in? There's something in here that's important that I chose to include this. Like the PlayStation Plus free games. Bound is on there, which is a VR and regular game that I found super fascinating. I still haven't
that was a good VR game.
Yet. So I wanted to chat about VR games becoming part of PlayStation Plus. This is the second time now that that's been featured. The first one was Riggs that was available for 2 months, and now this Until Dawn Rush of Blood is a free bonus game available for 2 months. I think that's really cool that they are, like, I think a lot of people guessed, when they get rid of one of these other systems, like, we're not going to include PS3 games anymore, they'll replace it with a VR game. But it seems like they're doing that in addition, which is really cool. And I kind of like that it's a 2-month free trial. It makes me go and play these games when otherwise I'd be like, I'll just add it to my collection, I'll get back to it, and then I never get back to it.
Yeah.
So I like that it's that 2-month window, and it actually kind of makes me interested for Nintendo's online service offering when they do that like once per month. Although no, just kidding. They said that that's going to be more of a permanent thing, right? They changed.
Yeah, they said it was going to be a once a month, but they changed that, so you're not going to be able to keep the game.
Gotcha.
But it'll be interesting because in that case, they're going to give you a retro game like from the NES or SNES, and then add functionality that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. But anyway, to your
So if you have a PSVR, Until Dawn Rush of Blood PS4 from November 7th to January 2nd, I like it a lot. Holden hates it a lot. So decide for yourself. Write in and tell us how much Holden's wrong.
I don't hate VR.
No, you hate Until Dawn Rush of Blood.
Oh yeah, I do. It's an on rails shooter. It's all that game is.
And it's so fun.
It's not great. It's just not interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit. Here's something that I meant to do. DualShockers has a article up right now that says you can use PlayStation trophies to earn PSN credit. So I'm a Sony Rewards member, which means like you buy stuff on the PlayStation Store, you get points, and then you can redeem those for more PlayStation credit. And there are like little challenges that you can do, like register 3 Sony movie discs with us, and we'll give you some points as well. But now you can, if you earn 10 platinum trophies, you'll get 1,000 points, which is $10 in credit. Or if you earn like,
that's a lot of gameplay.
Oh yeah, but I mean that also, like, if you have that My Name is Mayo and you're just tapping for $10, that's 2 platinum trophies right there. But you can also do the same thing with gold trophies and silver trophies too. For obviously less credit. But I think that's super cool.
Yeah, like we're paying you to play games.
Yeah, and
not a lot,
so
but we're still paying you to play games.
Yeah, it's a little reward.
Yeah.
And you can use that to buy other games or avatars or themes or whatever the fuck you buy. But when I went to go use it, I did it on my phone, and like the mobile site is super janky for Sony Rewards, so I couldn't actually finish doing any of this shit or looking into
retroactive? Like, is it? Oh, you already have 10. Okay, yeah, that's what I
think it is. Yeah, going forward.
So if you've already played My Name is Mayo, or whatever it's called,
right? So I can't get those 2 trophies, but there was that like 1,000 top rated 5+ 5-star game. That apparently you could get quick trophies in.
So I wonder now if it's going to be an influx of these easy platinum games. If somebody's going to be like, whoa. We're
now
giving
in my
out
head,
too much free money now.
I was like, is it worth the like $3 per shitty game to go get these platinum trophies to then redeem for $10?
Yeah, the economics doesn't really add up.
But then I also get to gloat saying, look at my platinum trophy number. But then it's bloated. because it's not real. I mean, the real platinum trophies.
It's as real as you make it, Chad.
You're right. I have two more stories
You have
left.
2 more trophies. You've gotten all the PlayStation trophies. You only need 2 more. I got 1 more story, so I'll share mine. I had 2 more, but then you stole my PlayStation 4 sales one. So I have Media Molecules Dreams is still in development.
Yeah.
It's still in development. So Michael Denny, Sony Senior VP of Worldwide Studios, he says that it's still in development and very, very exciting. So exciting. We haven't shown it in a while.
That poor game.
So this is the game. It will return soon, and when it does, quote, it's going to blow people away. He says the game's going to be massive. It's going to be massive.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I thought it was funny. This is an IGN article, and the description they had of the game in the bottom of the article was, you will be solving platforming puzzles by creating items with the level and possessing characters in the world. So I'm like, oh, so it's Scribblenauts with Mario Odyssey.
Nobody knows what the fuck this game is.
So it sounds like what it is you have some sort of platforming obstacle, and you're like, oh, if I create this like object, it'll help me get on that platform to keep going. So it's like Little Big Planet in the sense that in Little Big Planet you would make levels. In this, you are in a pre-existing level, and you can build things in it to help accomplish the goal of that level.
Sounds terrible to me.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled about it. I also wasn't Little Big Planet, those are really cool games. They're not for me. I don't really like those creation games. I want to play
I was all about the like playing through the levels that were designed by Sony themselves.
Yeah.
Media Molecule, but then never touched the player creation tools. I played a couple of user-generated levels and like, wow, these are all trash.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about Mario Maker,
too. Yeah, they were like, great concept. Not everyone's a game developer.
Exactly.
I this is a game they've been showing off now since literally the PlayStation 4's announcement.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a long time coming. When games like this are not shown and don't come out for a long time, it's usually not a great sign.
Yep.
Like they're not even showing
the fact that they were supposed to have an open beta this summer.
Never happened.
No word on that. They didn't cancel it. It just never happened.
Yeah. Which is also not a really great sign either.
Yeah. And they only have, like, realistically, if they're mentioning, we're going to have some news before the end of the year. They have PlayStation X or PSX and Game
I think
Awards.
that's where we're going to see this. If he says it's going to return soon, soon's not E3 next year.
No.
Soon is within the next few months. That's how I would define it, at least.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind, as much as I wasn't super crazy about Little Big Planet, just from personal taste, I understand it's a really cool game. They made Tearaway, and Tearaway is such a magical experience.
I love Tearaway on Vita.
Yeah, it's so it's honestly still good on PS4 as well. But so I'm kind of like, okay, I'll still check it out and see what it is, because Tearaway was so good, and these are the same guys making it. So those are all my news stories. Which
I've
were
got
far
one
better than yours. No,
as a follow-up.
No, you don't.
To
you don't
last
have any more
week.
stories.
Remember the game Erica we talked about that was shown off at
It's not. So I think it's actually not.
It is live action.
Yeah, it's live action.
It is a live action game that blends CGI elements, like the fact that you're able to wipe a tear from her cheek with your actions, which is weird as fuck. But that just makes me even more. I was already impressed if it was going to be CGI. Like that looks incredible. But then the fact that they're able to take that amount of live action, like all completely live action, and blend gameplay elements with it, so you actually feel like you're in control of a movie without like load screens and shit like that, sounds incredible to me.
This is actually technology that's being used in a lot of different facets. Disney, I think last year, talked about how they were going to do something similar, where they would shoot a scene twice and have the actor just like change their facial expressions a little bit, like, hey, play this scene really sad, okay, now play it really happy, and they can control the emotions post-editing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of something that's already kind of happening, but it's never been done live in a game before. And
it's weird that it's not like big chunks, like, oh, I make a thing and then this scene plays out for 2 or 3 minutes. There's Flavorworks, which is the name of the company making it, is aiming for an experience that requires you to tap or swipe every 15 seconds. Can you imagine that, like if you're making a choice that can possibly change what's happening on the screen every 15 seconds,
that's a lot
how
of
much
variables.
they have to record. I bet if that comes out on Switch, it's going to be 5,000 trillion gigabytes.
But it won't be on PS4. It'll only be 5 gigs on PS4.
That's so freaking...
The way you phrased that was like, only on Switch will it be 5,000
Only on
trillion.
Switch, yes.
Only on Switch will it be that big.
No, but the technology, like the way that it works, they're keeping a secret. They want everyone to be... it has this magic feel to it, so they won't let everyone know how they're doing it. And that's all I want to know in my whole life. I'm going to protest the game. I'm not going to play the game until I know how it works.
So,
hold on, I have one more.
No, you don't.
I think we might have mentioned this a few weeks ago, like back in June, or by weeks I mean months.
We did, yeah, we did.
Back in June or July.
I don't know. I haven't heard the story yet.
I know. I'm like,
I'll shut up.
You can't read this through the reflection of my eyeballs in that tiny camera.
Through FaceTime, absolutely I can.
So there was a game rental service from GameStop that was like trialed in Pennsylvania or something like that.
Yes, this is such a great deal.
And this is it's now worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wait, no, maybe just US.
I think it's US.
So basically it is Blockbuster for video games where you can go in, you can find
I wouldn't say it's Blockbuster. Because Blockbuster would say, like, I'm going in to rent the game and the rental costs $3 or something like that. You're paying $60 for 6 months, and then you can just check any pre-owned game out.
Right, one at a time, yeah.
One at a time, yeah. And as many times as you want to, as long as you're bringing the game back.
So I guess it's like Netflix,
It's
old school Netflix.
Yeah.
Met with the physical location of Blockbuster.
Exactly, yeah. And at the end of the 6 months, you can pick one of the games to keep.
Yeah, you just keep a game.
That's so cool. That is so cool. It's so smart of them to do because it gets people coming back in the store a lot.
Yep. And if they come back in the store to swap out their game every time, that's one more time they can ask you, are there any upcoming games you want to pre-order? You want to put $5 down on any games? And then you can be like, no, I'm getting this one for free. Well, part of my $60 6-month subscription.
But they will probably make more money doing it this way. Because how many times did you have, like, I have Netflix. I pay monthly for Netflix. I've gone a month without watching anything on Netflix before. And I'm like, oh, I still paid for it.
I watch Netflix all the goddamn time.
I don't.
Whether it's like, I woke up at 10:30 at night and I can't get back to sleep, so I'm going to watch 6 episodes of The Office. Mm-hmm. Or watching American Vandal or Stranger Things.
So good.
Or Mindhunter. Mindhunter's not very good. But I watched it all. Same thing with OA. Hated OA, but I watched it all. That was my roommate that made me do that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so
you didn't watch Mr. Robot though. You didn't watch Mr. Robot all the way
No, it's because that show is fucking boring as shit, and I will only watch that
good.
one 90-minute episode one time in my entire life, and I'm not going to go back and watch anything else.
You should watch the next episodes because they're so good.
Oh no,
they're so good. It's the best show ever.
That was the longest episode of television in my entire life. Watching that first pilot. So that's it. That's it for my news stories. That's all I got. That's it. That's all I can do. Sat down and took a big old piss.
I think you can do better, Chad, so I'm very disappointed in you.
I can do better than that.
Well, we have a feature topic, which has kind of been something we've been talking about on the show for a while now, but we wanted to kind of really get into it, and that's this whole single-player games are going away. And kind of thinking that outside of the context of just EA, just generally speaking, what do we think is going to happen with single-player games? What's the future of that look like? Are all games going to be multiplayer going forward? No, I don't think. I think the answer is no.
Go on.
Yeah, so I think that. So I found this video on YouTube, and now I can't remember who made it, but it was really interesting. I actually sent it to you. Did you watch it?
You did. Yep, I watched it.
Yeah, and basically the point the guy made in the video was that the games are still profitable. Single player games are still profitable. It's not that they lose money by making single player games. It's just that microtransaction games are so much more profitable.
Right.
Ridiculously profitable, that of course they're going to do that. And that's kind of the important tidbit I took out of that. So let's say in this hypothetical scenario that AAA developers do kind of get out of making single player games that we're used to, in the sense of like Uncharted or like the Jak and Daxter games or Ratchet and Clank kind of style games of the past. I'm not concerned about single player games going away in total, because there are still developers who excel at single player games and make games that they want to play themselves, and people still want to play single player games. So like, Rockstar has come out and said, we are always going to be making single player games. I can't imagine Naughty Dog making a Destiny style like game. Like, the way they tell stories is only really possible in those single player style games. So you could not make a multiplayer, like massively online Last of Us like game and have it have the same feel that The Last of Us has. It just wouldn't work. You couldn't tell that story in that manner. Nintendo, I can't see them making online games because they don't know the internet exists. It's tough for them. So I don't think like, yeah, there's gonna be some, you know, big third party or AAA developers who do probably steer farther away. I actually think that there's a very strong chance that could happen, and that games as a service kind of becomes a staple for those companies. Indies are still gonna make single player games. I mean, Hellblade is a great example of that.
Yeah.
A fantastic example of that. So like, it's just, I'm not concerned about it. But I think another element of it too is I think over time microtransactions are going to piss people off. If that becomes so dominant,
they're already there.
Yeah, I mean, it's already happening, but it hasn't impacted sales yet though. Once it starts impacting sales, then I think you'll see companies start to go, "Oh, no, we still make single player games. We still do that."
Right.
So
I think all of this this whole hullabaloo definitely started. I think I've used that word now way too often on this podcast. I just said that out loud and I was like, hullabaloo. No, I think that's like the third time in 3 podcasts that I've said that, and that needs to be retired.
Hey, it's a good word.
No, it's not.
It's a great
Sounds
word.
like Dr. Seuss. Anyway, this all started.
Nothing wrong with
this
Dr.
whole
Seuss.
conversation, I think, of course, obviously started with EA shutting down Visceral Games. Which, by the way, I did go back and actually spend 45 minutes reading that Jason Schreier article on Kotaku.
45 minutes, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. So I never read it. I'm curious what you found in it. But keep going, yeah.
I mean, this is a little off topic.
Yeah.
But that game was not anywhere... Like, boiling it down into the press statement, they said, hey, we want to take this. We've done research, and we know that our fans want experiences they can come back to for years and years. So we're going to gear towards that instead. That is absolutely the most reductive way to look at this. Okay. And it boils down to a bunch of different things. I did actually, so remember last time when I started reading the first paragraph of that article and I was like, oh man, listen to this. This kind of encapsulates it. And then I was reading the wrong paragraph and I was like, oh, that's not actually what I meant to do. It basically started all the way back in 2013 when Dead Space 3 kind of tanked critically and sales-wise. And then it's just one thing after another after another. Like, this game should have been canceled a long time ago. And they were just bleeding employees from Visceral because it was too expensive to be there. They kept getting shoved into they made like everyone work on Battlefield Hardline. They made everyone work in the Frostbite engine, which was only developed for first-person games, even though they were making a third-person action-adventure game. Like, it's a game that should have been killed a long time ago. And I'm going to find this paragraph.
You're still referring to Star Wars, right?
Yes, still referring to Star Wars. Yeah, all of this was all leading up to, like, all of that was leading up to this studio just kind of crumbling from within, and they'd been dying for years.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that Visceral lives in San Francisco, is based in San Francisco, which, like, just the cost of living and the cost of keeping an employee there is like triple all of their other locations. And then they were trying to take game development away from Visceral by hiring, like, they are like, okay, cool, we're going to give you guys a new studio in Vancouver, and then we're going to hire a bunch of people in there in Vancouver where it's much lower cost of living, there are tax breaks, and then all of a sudden Battlefront comes out, and they're like, oh, we got a lot of feedback saying they want single player in Battlefront 2, so remember all those people we hired for your game? They're now going to go towards Battlefront 2's single player campaign instead, and you guys aren't going to get them, and we're also not going to let you hire any more people. And then people just kept leaving Visceral.
That's some bad business right there.
Yep. And then they're like, well, now we're going to, now that is done, you guys don't really have an artistic director. You don't have a game director. You don't have, like, all of these positions that were going unfilled as people left at Visceral. They didn't allow them to hire anyone to fill those positions. Like, cool. We're now going to hire all those positions for you. And those people are going to be in the Montreal studio or in the Vancouver studio. And now suddenly your game is basically de facto Vancouver's game and not Visceral's game. So that thing that you've been working on for 4 years is no longer your game, and we're starting to have to take it over here. And that pissed a lot of people off.
So we just have different reasons to not like EA, basically.
Yeah. I think. Hold on. You talk about something. Let me find this paragraph.
I think it's going back to the whole single player deal. I think actually we kind of brought up there with whole like Battlefront has a single player campaign because people really wanted that and EA wanted that in their game. I even think that that's still going to happen where you're going to have these games that are primarily focused on multiplayer, but they're still going to have a single player campaign as like a for the box feature that they can talk about. I mean, if EA did all of what you just said to get single player in Battlefront, it is still important for them.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to get rid of single player altogether entirely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to read this one thing, and then we'll kind of jump off this article. Over the past week, I've talked to nearly a dozen former Visceral employees who worked on Ragtag, which was the code name for the game, all of whom spoke anonymously because they did not want to risk damaging their careers. I've also spoken to several other developers who are tangentially connected to Visceral. They all share similar stories. Ragtag was a project sunk by many factors, including a lack of resources, a vision that was too ambitious for its budget, a difficult game engine, a director who clashed with the staff, a studio located in one of the most expensive cities in the world, a reputation for toxicity, multiple conflicts between Visceral and EA, and what can only be described as the curse of Star Wars. So there was a lot of shit going on. But all that is to say that after reading through that and seeing some of EA's practices, they're like, yeah, we're forcing you to make this multiplayer part, and this has to have more Star Wars elements. This has to happen. So I think EA as a developer, that might be the end of linear single player games that we see from EA specifically.
Yeah.
But if you look at just this year alone, we've had Zelda Breath of the Wild, we've had Horizon Zero Dawn, we've had Super Mario Odyssey, we have
Resident Evil,
everything from Bethesda. We have Fallout,
Bethesda's one of those
Resident
companies too who
Evil,
won't. Yeah.
Doom. We have
Nier
Automata. We have so many single-player games. I don't think this is going to be a big deal at all. We have everything on the slate coming up from Sony. God of War. We have not Uncharted, Last of Us Part 2, like
Ghost of Tsushima.
Spider-Man. Single-player games are not dead. If anything, there are just a few. I mean, EA has infamously been has been voted the worst company in the world several years.
Have they really?
Yeah, did you not know that?
No,
it's
I
like
didn't.
the last 6 years. There's like some vote on some websites like, what is the worst company in the world? And EA always tops the list.
That's hysterical. All the companies who really do like physical harm to the planet and like all that stuff. Like, but
right,
EA,
exactly.
It's EA.
All these oil drilling companies that are just bleeding oil into the Atlantic. No, it's EA. It's surprising. No, so
it's not Pfizer. It's EA.
I mean, EA is definitely more business focused. They make some pretty great games, but they definitely are like, hey, we're here for the money. And let's not joke. Games are a business. They are there to make money, and if something doesn't make money, it's going to get axed. But I think they more are going to be focused on that, and we'll see strong third-party showings from specific studios who that's their strong point.
Also, the games industry has constantly grown. Like, I can't think of a single year where it's like, oh, this is the year where like no games were really coming out because like there's no one's making games. Like, no, like there's always more and more games coming out. If anything, people are now complaining that there are too many games coming out there. So just because there's going to be a lot more games as service coming out doesn't mean that there's going to be less single player games coming out as well. Because the industry is constantly growing, okay, we can make these single player games and then also these games as service games because that's kind of something that people want as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they're going to impact each other. I mean, and people kind of point to the EA example, Visceral, as like, but see here, they canceled it because single player game. I mean, that was a very small portion of what happened there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, after reading that article, I'm very glad this game didn't come out.
Yeah, it would have been, honestly, I'm sure Amy Hennig is glad too, because that would have been damaging to her reputation. To have like no games come out for 10 years and then that's the game.
That's the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So nope, they're not dead.
No, not even close.
We are the definitive answer on that.
Yep, we are. We are, absolutely. Don't listen to anything anyone else has to say. Only this podcast has the correct information on it. Mm-hmm.
Fake news.
Totally. I think that's all I really have on this.
Do we have any interrogatives this week? We haven't had interrogatives for a while. Somebody needs to be... I swear to God, I'm having a stroke. Did I just say interrogatives?
Interrogatives?
Insubordination. Subscriber interrogatives. We need some people to write in. Give us some shit. Other than that, you guys have been great, though.
Yeah.
for the month of November. You guys remember how we played Amnesia for an hour and hated it? We decided we're going to do something similar to that every month, except for hopefully we'll like this one. Our game of the month that we'll discuss at the end is going to be...
Super Metroid.
Super Metroid. In my head, I was thinking Metroid Prime, but that's not right.
That'd
Super
be great
Metroid. So if you have a 3DS or if you have an SNES Classic or if you have a Super Nintendo still around...
Or even ROM.
Yeah. Pick that up and play along with us, and we'll share our thoughts and kind of do a... What is that game, like 25, 30 years old now?
90,
No.
I think
No,
it's about
that's a
94.
lie. 20, maybe 23.
23 years, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll do a
excited.
little
Yeah.
post
good
review
game.
23 years later.
Yeah.
And I've never played it before. You played a little bit of it, right?
I played about half of it a long time ago, and then I got wrapped up in something else, and I just didn't play it.
And you'll be playing on
finish
3DS. I'll be playing on Super Nintendo Classic.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool.
Good
Sounds
time.
good.
Thanks for listening to episode 35 of the Split Screen Gaming Podcast. Go on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If for some reason something goes fucked up, look for those as well to be like, hey, this is fucked up. Don't worry.
It's fucked.
Like when the episode was bad the other week.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone who pointed that out to us as well.
Yeah, all you great
Thank
little
you
bunny
to-
rabbits.
Dane Deasy and was there someone else who did as well.
I think it was America Ferrera. I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was
America
America.
Ferrera. Ugly Betty listens to our podcast.
No, it was
That's
Jeff
crazy.
Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum.
Oh man, Jeff Goldblum in Thor was so good.
Oh, did you saw
so
Thor now?
good. I actually saw it right before we did this podcast.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it after the podcast. I did not like it,
I
but
know
Jeff
you
Goldblum
didn't.
was awesome.
Jeff Goldblum was freaking
Did,
great.
did you see the post credit sequence, like the second post?
Yep. Of
That
course
was-
I did. I like Marvel movies. Of course I know to stay around for the second post-credit scene.
I'm just saying. Some people don't. And I know how much you hate movies.
Thank you for listening. Chaos Theory. Goodbye, y'all.